rushed to change out of my pajamas and hurried back to the comfy room. There, Luke was scowling as he approached Joker.
Stop avoiding the question, Joker. That's not a good enough answer.
Boy, oh boy. You really are stubborn, Hatter.
Wait a minute, both of you. I pushed my way between Joker and Luke as they faced off against each other. Luke heeded my call and now begrudgingly sat on the sofa.
Calm down a little, will you? Hey, Luke. You drink tea, right? Hold on a sec.
For some reason, Joker made himself at home in the kitchen. This was Alice's house, which meant that it was pretty much my house.
What about you, Amelie? There's coffee, tea, or I can squeeze some of the fruit we had yesterday if you'd like juice.
Okay, I'll take some juice, please.
Coming right up.
He gave me a light-hearted response and immediately set to work. He served tea for Luke and juice for me. This was accompanied by an impressive breakfast. Bacon and eggs on toast. The piping hot bread was crispy, with just the right amount of salt. The tomato salad topped with grated cheese was succulent and refreshing. I picked up my glass and took a sip of the juice. It's delicious. Thanks, Joker.
You're welcome.
So...
Luke waited for my breakfast to arrive before he started to speak.
what are you doing here, Joker?
Weren't you watching? I was preparing Amelie's breakfast and getting ready to serve you.
That's not what I mean.
Luke shot back at Joker, drawing his eyebrows together in apparent disapproval.
You barge into Alice's house, this early in the morning, and act overly friendly.
Luke appeared to be angry. I supposed pointing out that Luke had spent the night would only add fuel to the fire.
Well, what kind of relationship would meet with your approval? Let me just say, I was the one who carried Amelie to bed last night.
What?
Why couldn't he keep his mouth shut? As anticipated, Luke's face turned red as he glared at Joker. Joker seemed unfazed by his reaction and grinned in amusement. Hold on, Joker. I sensed that leaving the conversation to Joker would only make matters worse. You can be quiet for now. I'll do the talking. I then turned to Luke. Joker is my friend. It's true that he carried me to bed, but it's not like we're lovers. When I spoke of my relationship with Joker, his eyes narrowed in surprise.
Amelie, are we friends?
Oh, didn't you know? When you gazed at the starry night together, or stay up all night talking. Ordinary people wouldn't consider doing that with a stranger.
Heh, leave it to you to know something like that, Amelie. Even without your memory, you have a lot of common sense.
Joker sounded impressed, and we exchanged smiles. We were dancing on a fine line between joking and sarcasm, but it was in no way uncomfortable.
You two seem to be getting along awfully well.
Luke sounded surprised as he watched our interaction. Luke settled his jade-colored eyes on me and started to speak.
Amelie, I'm sorry about yesterday. When you suddenly disappeared from in front of me, I was so worried and I quickly set out to search for you. But I couldn't find you.
Why? There's no reason for you to apologize, Luke. I widened my eyes in surprise. If anything, I'm the one who needs to apologize for causing you worry by suddenly disappearing. Luke kept looking for me because he was worried.
No, that was because someone used magic to forcibly teleport you far away. I still have no idea why anyone would do such a thing.
Hearing the question in Luke's voice, Joker shrugged his shoulders.
Well, I can't think of anyone who'd use the teleportation spell just to be spiteful.
Really?
Yeah, the teleportation spell is particularly draining. With the exception of powerful magicians, it's rarely used.
At that point in the conversation, there was another knock at the door.
I'll get that.
Joker stood up, even as he spoke. Huh? But... My immediate thought was, this is my house, or Alice's at least.
It's okay. You just worry about finishing the rest of your breakfast. You want to walk around again today, don't you? Eat.
All right, I will. I nodded and bit into the rest of my toast, downing it with juice. Several seconds later, something small, white, and fluffy flew in from the door Joker opened. Not something, but rather someone, to be precise. Because that something fluffy started speaking in a high-pitched voice.
Hello, Alice. I'm Al, the White Rabbit.
Hello. The White Rabbit is right. I found myself nodding as I took in the white, fluffy fur. But are rabbits supposed to talk? I had a hard time accepting the sight that greeted me, and I subconsciously tilted my head.
The Queen of Hearts has summoned you, Alice. Will you come with me to the castle?
The Queen? That sounds intriguing. I'll go too.
Joker seemed interested and announced his intention to accompany me before I could even respond.
Wait, Joker. That's...
Just when Luke attempted to voice his objection, the pocket watch he was holding started to sound.
It's this time already?
As Luke turned off the alarm, his face took on a regretful expression.
I wish I could go with you, but I need to host the tea party. That's an unbreakable rule.
A rule?
I'm sorry. If you'll excuse me.
Luke stood from the sofa and hurriedly exited the house. I tilted my head as I watched his retreating form. I wonder why Luke even came. Was it just to apologize about yesterday? First of all, why was he so upset to find Joker at my house? I had so many unresolved questions, but Luke took all the answers with him.
Who knows?
Joker narrowed his eyes and spoke as if it didn't concern him.
Maybe he's also a fan of yours.
What do you mean by also?
Kyle and Dee and Delm are all fans of yours.
What about you, Joker?
Isn't it obvious?
Joker spoke teasingly as he winked at me.
I'm a fan of Amelie.
Huh. I held my tongue as my jaw tightened. I didn't appreciate his sarcasm, even if it was meant as a joke. The fact that I almost laughed probably meant that I was becoming accustomed to his teasing. Or it could be the fact that Joker called me Amelie and not Alice. Made me slightly giddy. Of course, it's probably the former. I've grown accustomed to it. That must be it. And so, after I finished my breakfast, I got ready to go. I followed Al as he led me to the Castle of Heart, where the Queen of Hearts was supposedly expecting me. She wanted to see me. I couldn't think of any reason to refuse.
So, Amelie, have you had any trouble since arriving in Wonderland? How is Alice's house? Is it comfortable?
The Queen of Hearts spoke to me in a gentle voice. She wore an impressive red dress adorned with hearts, and her eyes were hidden behind a lace veil. I couldn't read her expression, but after talking to her for a while, I sensed that she was a warm, caring woman, not at all what I expected of a queen. Despite inviting me here as Alice, she in no way made me feel inferior. Instead, when I told her my name was Amelie, that was what she proceeded to call me. I appreciate your concern, Your Highness. For the moment, I haven't had any major problems. The only thing that is troubling me is the fact that I can't remember anything beyond my name. The Queen of Hearts chose her next words carefully.
If your lack of memory is troubling you, am I right to deduce that you would like to regain your memory?
Yes, of course, I replied without hesitation. I'd like to return to my real home as soon as possible, not Alice's house. There was a commotion among the card soldiers in the throne room as we spoke. This had been going on for some time. I worried that my memory lapse had caused me to say something wrong. The atmosphere seemed more reproachful than mocking. It was almost as if I was doing something wrong for wanting to regain my memory.
Silence! Can't you see that Amelie and I are conversing right now?
Her Highness turned toward the card soldiers and issued a mild rebuke. The card soldiers immediately stood at attention. As for Joker, I thought he was more talkative, but he'd hardly said a word since arriving in the throne room. It was his idea to tag along. I wonder what could be wrong. Of course, he spoke when spoken to by the Queen, and nodded in all the right places so as not to appear rude. But he seemed to be reserved, as if he were trying to stay removed from the conversation. Considering his usual behavior, this was unexpected. We bid farewell to the Queen of Hearts, who insisted that she would be of assistance if the need ever arose, and left the castle. I realized Joker was humming cheerfully. It was in stark contrast to his earlier behavior. Joker?
Yes?
You seemed pretty quiet at the Castle of Heart. Were you not feeling well?
I see you noticed.
Of course I noticed. It wasn't like you at all.
Well, there's nothing wrong with me physically.
Joker paused, and his face turned serious before he continued.
The Hatter is not the only one hiding something. The Queen is too.
Are you sure? She seemed really nice.
I'll agree to that, but for a Wonderland resident to not call you Alice is a very big deal.
Now that he mentioned it, Dee and Dum were shocked that Joker called me Amelie. Is that why the card soldiers caused a commotion whenever the Queen of Hearts and I were talking? I was worried that I might have said something wrong. When I grumbled under my breath, Joker shrugged lightly.
Well, what you were discussing was perplexing to those in Wonderland. Everybody here wants Alice to remain in Wonderland forever.
Huh? There was something strange about his comment. I pondered it for a while, until I realized what was wrong. They want me to stay in Wonderland forever? When I slowly repeated what he said, he was quiet and wouldn't meet my gaze. Maybe he realized he said something he shouldn't have. That's right. Now that I think back, the Queen of Hearts also said that she came to Wonderland. Tell me, Joker, did I come from somewhere other than Wonderland? Joker was silent at first, but after a while, he looked into my eyes and stated clearly,
Yes, that's right. But I can't tell you anything more, seeing that I'm also a Wonderland resident. There are things I can talk about, and things that I can't.
I have a hard time accepting that. If you know something, please tell me.
I can't. Don't you remember what Luke said? There are unbreakable rules.
When he drew a line in the sand, I released a heavy sigh. I tried to tamper my impatience and calm down, settling for a different question. So, even if I walk around Wonderland, I'm not going to find my real house, am I?
Nah.
Joker didn't answer, but he also didn't deny it. You know, Joker, if I came from somewhere, then there's bound to be a road home somewhere in Wonderland, isn't there? Joker still wouldn't answer, but he smiled at what I said. Even without the words, I took his kind expression as tacit agreement. If I recall, when we first met, Joker said I emerged from a mirror and collapsed. Does that mean I came to Wonderland through a mirror? But then, when I awoke, there was no sign of a mirror. If I wanted to go home, I needed to look for that mirror. After renewing my determination, I faced Joker. I'm going to continue to search for the road home, no matter what. I'm not giving up on trying to regain my memory.
I see.
Joker gave a little nod and stared at me with his rose-colored eyes. My heart started to beat faster under the intensity of his gaze.
Amelie.
What?
You're determined to get your memory back, aren't you? I can see that your mind is set. After talking and spending time with you, I think I can trust how you feel, Amelie.
Joker continued to stare at me, and as he slowly spoke, he was uncharacteristically serious.
But if the memories you lost were no good, would you still want to know? I'm sure there must have been fun moments in your past, but undoubtedly, there were other times which weren't so pleasant. Can you still say unequivocally that you want to remember your past?
I met his gaze, refusing to look away. In his case, he can't remember the crime he committed, but there was no doubt in his mind that his was not a good one. When I spoke next, I chose my words. I think everyone makes different choices, even when it involves recovering lost memories. I might choose to remember, but there was nothing wrong with that. Likewise, if I were to choose not to remember, it was nobody's place to criticize my decision. I'm not saying that regaining one's memory is definitely the right decision, but I still want to know. How am I supposed to move forward if I don't know myself or anything about my past? I spoke with conviction. Joker watched me and listened quietly. As it is now, I don't know the first thing about myself. I can't bear remaining adrift like this, having nowhere to plant my feet. That's why I don't care what my memories hold. I want to know more about myself. That's all. Joker seemed taken aback. He regarded me so intensely that I started to get embarrassed. But he continued to regard me, his gaze never wavering. What is it, Joker? My gaze almost faltered from discomfort when he continued to stare at me. I wondered if my face was red from becoming flustered. Instead of laughing at me, Joker spoke in a voice that was lower than usual.
All right, you convinced me.
Now it was my turn to be surprised. As I stood there dumbfounded, Joker laughed and said lightly,
After hearing your impassionate plea, I found that I'd like to know more about my own past, regardless of the crime I committed. I've realized that I feel uncomfortable allowing myself not to know the person that is me.
Joker then extended his hand toward me, as if he wanted me to shake it.
From now on, I'm going to search for a way to regain my lost memory. Together with you, Amelie.
Joker. Upon hearing his words, warmth spread through me. I had been feeling all alone in this unfamiliar place of which I had no memory, and there was no one I knew. Joker's coming with me. That means he's on my side, doesn't it? Joker's eyes narrowed playfully as he watched me savor his words.
I can help you as long as we share the same objective, can't I? If you have a problem with it, I'll act on my own.
Was there ever any question? Of course I want your help. I grabbed for his hand and shook it frantically up and down. Joker smiled in satisfaction, either at my response or my impatience. Let's do this together, Joker. I don't have any point of reference, but I'll do my best. I promise not to throw in the towel and bail on you along the way. Joker giggled in response.
You're very earnest, Amelie.
That's right. Because, to be honest, I can't really be of much help to you right now, can I? I appreciate your help, but under normal circumstances, I wouldn't be able to do anything on my own. I would be leaning entirely upon you, and that's not what I want. That's why I want to promise that I'll do the best that I can. It's as much for you as it is for me.
Well, good for you.
He reached out and patted me lightly on the head.
But don't overexert yourself. Listen, I can only do what I'm capable of. The same goes for you, Amelie. Don't try to do more than you can.
Joker.
Unlike me, you just lost your memory recently. Don't forget, you also need to get used to life in Wonderland. It makes sense that there are things you can't do yet, doesn't it?
I was touched by his consideration and whispered softly, Thanks, Joker. Joker is very kind. His words were almost too kind as they seeped into me. Suddenly,
I see that you formed a friendly bond, but I have to interrupt.
Just when I thought I heard a sweet voice floating from somewhere. Without warning, Kyle was standing before us. Kyle, you're going to pay for the other day.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Don't try and fool me. You used the teleportation spell and dropped me on top of Joker, didn't you? He looked as if he had no idea what I was talking about, which momentarily confused me. Does that mean Joker jumped to the wrong conclusion? Then who in the world teleported me? Kyle didn't bother to wait for me as I pondered this. He turned his amethyst-colored eyes on Joker and spoke in a cool tone.
Joker, this tale is in trouble if you insist on doing as you please. I'm taking Alice with me.
Kyle was covered in particles of light. When he snapped his fingers, a bright golden beam flashed through the air like an arrow. The arrow adjusted its speed imperceptibly as it headed straight toward Joker.
Don't tell me this is your best.
Joker's taunts were accompanied by playing cards attacking Kyle's light. Without sparing a moment, Joker went for the next light. The remaining light suddenly changed course and targeted me. Joker cast a spell in an attempt to protect me, but Kyle's arrow broke into countless smaller ones and showed no signs of slowing down. They transformed into interminable rain falling down on me. As my body was bathed in the magic light, I felt a tingling sense of pain. Suddenly, my line of vision started to get lower and lower. I hadn't realized that my body was shrinking until the magic had finished doing its work.
Over here, Alice.
My body was small enough to fit in the palm of a hand, and suddenly, I was flying through the air like a ball and landing in Kyle's hand.
It's a bit cramped, but it'll have to do.
Before I could put up any resistance, I was stuffed into a small jar.
I'm Al, the White Rabbit. I've been put in charge of the next preview, so I'll do my best. Let's take a quick peek at the next page.
When that guy thinks of that girl as nothing but Alice. I'm not happy that you took Amelie, even if it is for only a short time.
Joker. My chest started to ache. I clasped my hands tightly together.
Just so you know, I didn't have a choice. If I hadn't taken action, neither of you would have listened to what I have to say, would you?
Oh no! No fighting, you guys! Let's have some carrots and makeup, okay?